What's up, Internet people? This is part two of a video that I posted earlier, and this video is all about how to get started in small business. The first video that I posted was strictly about having a passion for what it is you're doing and making sure that you're getting into this for the right reasons. You do not want to get into something and find out that you just started it because you saw Dame Dash on TV or you heard a rapper talking about it, and now you feel like if you're not a owner of a business, you're not a boss. The reality is you got to make sure you get into it for the right reasons. So if you're here at part two, that means you're looking to do it for the right reasons. So I want to make sure I give you some insight on how to go about getting started. And it's not as complicated as people want to make it. Don't confuse it. Keep it simple. If you keep it simple, I think you're much more likely to take action and get out of the planning phase. What I found is so many people, they research, they talk, but they don't ever do shit, right? They just talk about it. I can't tell you how many people I've met and they found out, I'm a real estate investor, and all the time they say, oh, I was thinking about getting into real estate. I was thinking about getting my real estate license. If you're thinking about it, why the hell didn't you do it? Because all you want to do is think about it. Do something, right? And hopefully after this video, you get up off your ass and you actually do something. You don't overthink it. I've seen people wait to start a business to get a damn logo. I got a party rental business that was successful and profitable for 4 years before I finally got a logo. Who gives a damn, right? I'm not saying that's business 101 where you shouldn't get a logo, but I wasn't looking for a reason to not start my business. I just got up off my ass and I did it. Right? When I bought my rental properties, I just did it. I didn't make an excuse. So to me, those are the things that you have to focus on first, because I can go through how to do it, but you could have found this on Google if all you wanted was just the knowledge around what you needed to do. Hopefully you get some inspiration and some motivation, because that's what's going to get you up off your ass to go out there and start it, instead of talking about it at work, talking about it with your husband and your wife, and yet you never do anything about it. So that was a rant. I just had to say it because I get tired of people asking me stuff. I waste my breath. I give them information and they never do anything with it. And that's extremely annoying, trying to help people out. And all they do is go back and do the same shit they've always done their whole life. Now, if you're starting a business, you got to figure out, do you want to be the only owner or do you want to bring in partners? Right? Me, I'm not a person that works well with partners. I want to do it my own. Right? And in the prior video, I talked about you really need three things. And if you don't have two of those three things, you're probably not going to be successful in business, at least starting out. So you have to have some money, you have to have knowledge of the business, and you have to have the time to be able to do it. If you don't have two of those three things, you would have to bring in a partner, right? You ideally would like all three of them, but maybe if you don't have one of them, you could just hire someone. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to start a business on real estate. You want to start real estate investing. You have the knowledge because you listen to a bunch of podcasts, you're watching YouTube videos, you're reading books. So you feel like you're very knowledgeable on what you need to do in order to get into real estate investing, right? You have a job that gives you a lot of freedom, so you've got the time that it takes to get into real estate investing. And the problem is you don't have any money. So you've got knowledge, you've got time, you don't have any money. So maybe you bring on a partner because they have money, but they don't have the time to do it. So that partner is a silent partner, and they're just bringing in money to help you out, right? You've got to decide, when you get going, which style that you want to do and which path you want to take. Once you decide if you want to have a partner or be the sole owner, then you want to decide how you format your business. This next question is the most common one. And honestly, it goes back to what I was saying before. You can waste your time getting caught up in a lot of small stuff. People will say, well, should I form an LLC? And the truth of the matter is, it's not that big of a deal. Would my advice be yes? Yes. I would tell most people to form an LLC because it costs $99. Don't go online paying these companies to do it for you. If in most states you go to the SEC website, and the State Corporation Commission website is what that is, and you literally just pay a fee. Most states is $99 to $150. You pay to register your business. You're the registered agent, and you can find some free articles of organization online that you just fill in the blanks. Truthfully, once you register that business, though, nobody's coming to ask you for your articles of organization. So unless you're doing a loan or something of that nature, you really aren't going to have a need for them that often. So that's not a reason to not get started. So as with all the advice I give you, you need to check with your accountant, because I'm not an accountant. So some of the stuff I'm telling you is stuff that I know to be true, but you still want to double check with an accountant. So why do I tell you to open an LLC? Because it stands for limited liability company. What that means is your liability is going to be limited. So, for example, I keep using the real estate example, but it could be a hair salon. If one of your employees makes a mistake or you make a mistake and they sue you, if you're managing it correctly, the only money they'll be able to get from you is the money that the assets or the money that the LLC has. If the LLC doesn't own anything, they're not going to be able to get anything from you. The LLC doesn't have any money, they're not going to be able to get anything from you. And they should not be able to go after you personally. There's a lot of technical stuff behind that, but that's the general principle. Now, people always say, well, how is that going to impact me on taxes? Again, I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you this information is true in 90% of the time. If you're a single sole member LLC, it doesn't matter whether you're a sole proprietorship or an LLC, you're going to get taxed the same way. It's called a pass-through entity, which means that all of the income passes through to the owner or the owners of the business, right? So you're only getting taxed one time on that money. There are other S Corps, C Corps, and things like that as you grow or bring in more partners where you can talk to an accountant about. But I'm talking about your basic startup business, sole owned or maybe a partnership. That income is coming in directly to you as the business owner. So it doesn't matter whether you do an LLC or you just do a sole proprietorship with a business license. It won't matter at all. So that's why I say get the LLC, because it limits your liability, but it doesn't impact you on taxes or anything like that. The next step in most cases is to get a tax ID. You don't have to do it, but I think if you have it when you want to grow, and hopefully if you're starting a business, you plan to grow and get bigger, it's better to have some of these things, especially as you add signers onto your account and other people. You really don't want them having access to your social security number. In the beginning, it's not that big of a deal because you're the only signer, but as you get employees or you ask other people to help, you really just don't want them having access to that type of information. So for me, all of my LLCs have a tax ID. All you have to do is go to irs.gov. www.irs.gov, and that's going to help you get a tax ID. You do not need to pay anyone to get a tax ID. It's free. It literally only takes 5 minutes. Do not fall for these scams online that are telling you we'll help you get a tax ID. You don't need to do all of that. So you got your LLC, or you decide to go to a sole proprietorship route to get a business license. Now you got your tax ID. At that point, you got sort of what you need to get started. Now, keep in mind, I didn't spend time talking about start a name for the business. You can name it what the hell you want. What I would tell you is, my advice on that is, name it something that appeals to the masses. Sometimes I see some people naming their businesses some ghetto shit, for lack of a better word. You just naming your business some ghetto shit. So if you only want to sell and work in the ghetto, then you can do it, but don't name it some ghetto shit unless you just only want some hood business, because you should be thinking about anyone looking at the name of this. Your name represents your business. And so, Pookie's Cookies is cool, but probably not the name I would go with. So think about that. Put a little time in that, but I don't want to, waste your time talking about that. So now that you got your LLC, your tax ID, the next step I personally would do is open a bank account. Why? Because once you open a bank account, it allows you to keep track of your expenses. Many people talk about tax avoidance or tax deferment, and they think it's this magic wand. And many of those people that are talking about that stuff, they're just committing tax fraud. They won't call it that, but I know the law. Most of this stuff is tax fraud. The reality, though, is there are a lot of legitimate expenses that you can write off that a lot of people don't take advantage of because they're not tracking their expenses throughout the year. And so if you have a hair salon, or I talked about a real estate property, every time you drive over there to do work, not to go to work, but to do work and tend to your business or your investment, you can write the mileage off. But if you don't have a mileage tracker on your phone, are you keeping track of that, right? That's something small, but how many people are taking advantage of that? Every time you go buy something at the store, a piece of equipment, that's something you can write off. But if you put it on your personal card, you're out of your personal account, you're going to be bound to make a mistake at the end of the year, or at the very least, just make your life a lot harder by keeping up with 20, 30 receipts when all you have to do is spend every business expense on your bank card or your business bank card or your business credit card, and at the end of the year, just print it out and give it to your accountant. The big thing to save taxes is to actually take the deductions for the things that you actually spent money, not to make up stuff, but to really take the deductions. Having a bank account is going to help you do that. And I think that's an important step that some people don't do. I worked for a bank for a really long time, and I can tell you a lot of people don't come and open an account up for a year after they started. And the only reason they're coming in at that point is their business started to grow, and their accountant told them, hey, this is a mess. I'm not going to do your taxes like this. And if I do it, I'm going to charge you a lot of money. You need to go open up a separate bank account. That's when they finally come in after it got too late and now they're behind. So do that up front. So since we're at about the 11-minute mark, I'm going to stop this video, give you time to rest, get done the stuff that we talked about, and then I'm going to add a part 3 to this so we can get into some more of the details. Hopefully you've got enough to get started right now.